And we're live. What's up, everybody?
Didn't you ask people the other day to guess your height? Do you remember this?
Yeah, I was actually going to start with a height comment as well, because Adam and I are actually the same height. It's important that I emphasize that. We're just sitting on very different chairs. But yeah,
What's your excuse?
occasionally I'll run into somebody who only knows me from the streaming, and one said that I was much taller than they thought. Someone said I'm thinner than they thought. So people don't have an accurate perception of my size, it seems.
One more evidence that the media is distorting reality.
Exactly. So what are we doing today? How is AI about to take my job? Well, you may have heard me mention on past streams that what we're doing today by having these conversations these contentious conversations in a calm and respectful manner is currently something we don't see often. But I would like to get to the point where I no longer have anything to stream about because there's nothing interesting that I'm doing here. Right now it's interesting because there's not many other platforms doing this. But I've always wanted this idea of just people in conflict coming together for conversations to scale in a way that truly has a meaningful impact. If that can happen, what am I left to do besides just travel the world and having a good time? No, I'm kidding. There's always more to do. But this has been something I've been thinking of for many years. How can we scale civil discourse? And then Adam over here approached me with an idea to do just that. An idea just crazy enough to work, just brilliant enough to change the world. I'll let Adam talk now. He'll talk a little bit more about how we met, how we came up with this idea, and then we'll get into what we're doing. But when Adam came to me with this idea, it was very much a no-brainer to stop what I was doing with my other company, Grateful Drafts, which is still up and running and doing well, just under different management. I officially stepped down from Grateful Drafts, moved to an advisory position, and then joined Adam as his co-founder full-time on HeadOn.ai. So with that, Adam, Bars, Habibi, Becker, it's an honor.
I think you're giving me a little bit too much credit, though. I think that in the early days of the war, we met up. Was it like a week after? Maybe even the week of the war.
After October 7th.
Yeah.
It was,
when was it? Do you remember?
And yeah, it was mid-November.
Mid-November already. And we were, well, I was distraught like everyone. And we met up. I was in Israel at the time. I'd flown back, a couple of days after the war started. And I don't know if I reached out to you. Somehow I realized that you were in Israel. Maybe did you do a live stream?
Maybe I did.
You might have done a live stream. Yeah. So then I reached out and I was like, Dar, what the hell's going on with the world? We gotta do something about this. We have to meet up. And I showed up to, where was it? It was the rooftop.
In Tel Aviv, yeah,
Nachmani rooftop. Yeah. It's like your friend's place or something. Yeah. And you had a nice little Zula there. It was a cool setup. And we were just like, I remember we were lamenting the situation, and you kind of encouraged both of us to remain hopeful. And we began talking about, I think the topic of the day was misinformation, lies, propaganda.
Yeah.
Right. And
how we can create some AI bot to do truth telling.
Something closer to truth.
Right.
Yeah. Because it seemed like, I think the argument at the time was that every side of the story seems to have some, sometimes hidden, very often explicit agenda to make sure that their side comes out right, irrespective of the truth. And it was a cause for concern because it seemed like people in Israel were whipping themselves up into a kind of frenzied freneticism, kind of like paranoia, anxiety, whatever that is after October 7th, which feels on one hand totally justifiable, right? Like, who knows what was happening? People were just, my aunt was like locking herself up in her apartment. She didn't leave the apartment for like weeks on end.
Right.
Was just terrified that these people are out there. So anyway, it felt like getting to the bottom of things and getting to the truth seemed to be sort of like fundamental. So we were kind of like orbiting that.
Right.
But then I kind of took it. I think I ended up taking like a sharp turn when I started having conversations with people online. So, I've been a big fan of the channel for, I think, virtually when you started.
You're one of, so Adam was the first patron ever, our first patron ever. So look how full circle this all comes.
Full circle. Yeah. I watched a video. What must have been like a video you did. I think maybe it was just you and Rudy, or you and Rudy and somebody else. Maybe you and Rudy. I don't remember. And it wasn't long. It was like a 3 or 4 hour one. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was one of the first live streams ever.
One of the first live streams.
I had to remove that episode.
You removed it?
The Palestinian that was on got backlash. So.
Oh yeah, that was that's right. It was really Palestinian. Right. And I remember at the end of that video, I was like, how is this guy not having 1 million views? I don't know if that's what I texted you even then, or
I think that's part of the message. Yeah.
I was like, dude, you're so good at doing this, and you have such a unique voice and a very particular disposition that I lack. I have a very different disposition when I carry on these types of conversations. And I think this might be like a distinction between like you and Rudy too. Like I feel like I am very much concerned about like truth and history and what exactly happened, and being very rigorous and trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And for you, it seemed like that was an important component, but not the fundamental component. And it felt like there's more to be said, and there's almost like a question of like how you go about saying it that was very important. So anyway, I began to watch it almost like...
Well, it's like, what value is a truth that somebody is unwilling to hear? Right. So knowing what's true is one thing, but if you can't convey that in a way that impacts those around you, then what do you really have?
That's right. Yeah. So I kind of began to watch the things that you do almost as like an orthogonal way of like existing in this space. It is a very different kind of way to exist in the space than I normally kind of carry myself through it. So for example, for many years, I've been trying to help out. You guys know Corey from the channel, the Ask Project, Corey Gilchrist. Whenever I go to Israel, I try to rent a car and we go around and we ask people questions, like getting to the bottom of what people think. I mean, all of that stuff has been very interesting to me, but kind of like very energetically kind of like moving through the space in the way that I feel like you have sort of excelled at is not something that I had ever really done. And so I began to I was just like mesmerized by that talent. But it also, I think it was clear that, and I see I'm just blabbering on.
No, this is good context.
I do think that like
viewership is consistently increased since you started talking, so you're doing good.
I do think that I realize the issue of scale, right? Because and this is something I'm sure that you said that you've been thinking about for a long time. You can't, we need to replicate you 1 million times to support millions of conversations. So
I would even argue that we need to replicate something better than me. Like in all fairness, I think I'm a good facilitator, but I don't think I'm an amazing one. I'm not trained. It's simply I know simply by doing, and maybe my temperament naturally allows me to just stay calm, but I don't think I'm a master facilitator the way I believe we can train AI to
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think the AI could be a lot better than you in many ways, but it also has a lot to learn from you. So I think we'll ultimately have a very symbiotic type of relationship with these.
I will teach it until the day it teaches me.
Yeah, I think you'll keep teaching one another. I think it's going to be a while before it collects the full context. It has access to context that you will never have.
Right. Well, before we get into that, maybe what are we even talking about now?
But even just in principle, what I mean? Like what is like best facilitation looking like in 50 years, in 100 years? Like it will likely be something personalized. It'll be likely something that is different from like one conversation to the next. But I remember and it will likely surprise us in the way that like watching you sometimes surprises me. So like there was a conversation that, oh man, you had one. I don't remember. Somebody came in. Oh yeah, I do. I remember the episode. I don't remember the guy, he brought up, maybe you know him, he said something about truth and reconciliation. We have to focus on the truth part. I'm not just about reconciliation. I gotta double down on truth. And he has a podcast about Israel Palestine. Do you remember him? He coined that term. It's like, can't just focus on reconciliation. I gotta focus on truth. That dude. Anyway, I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
And he said some stuff about early Zionism and whatever. And I thought, and at the end of that like clause, my blood was boiling. I was like, oh my God, Adar is just gonna like go in for like a totally different move. And you're like, yeah, I hear you. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next topic. And I'm like, how did he do this? I don't understand. So anyway, I think that
might not be good though. I maybe should have given more pushback.
I don't know, but the conversation seemed to have flown well. So it's definitely the case that I get surprised often when I watch you, and I think we will all have to be collectively surprised when we watch an AI do this. In the same way that like the chess masters end up being surprised by the moves that the AI makes in chess. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because on one hand you could say, well, you just get the best chess player and then just have them train, you know, the AI to figure out stuff. But now it works the other way around. Now the AI knows a bunch of different techniques.
Pro chess players learn from AI how to improve the game.
Yeah. Or at least they could sit back and say, oh, that thing that the AI did, I think it's a bad idea, and then just wait 2 or 3 moves, and you're like, oh my God, that's actually brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. It takes time to right.
Okay,
yeah, for those who don't know, I actually love chess. I play at least 1 game a day. I try to limit it to 1 because it gets very habit forming. I get just caught up in the chess loop. We got a company to build, so can't do too much chess.
But I do see this every now and then. Adar, look at this. We have a new design up. And you're like, 1 second. And I'm like, oh, are you writing an email? It's like, just gotta wrap up this chess game in the middle of this.
Yeah, I'm playing real people. You know, although yesterday I quit a game halfway through just
to join one of the design calls.
Just to join the design call, which just shows, you know, when push comes to shove, what can we do?
I think
Abby Levitt asks, who is with you speaking at her? So this is Adam, my co-founder for our new company, HeadOn.ai. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. And the idea is that this AI scales civil discourse, essentially putting me out of a job. I was being a little bit sensationalist and hyperbolic with the title, obviously, but
although ideally not. What if like an AI could just get all the peace activists out of a job? I guess they don't really have a job. Anyway, it's not really.
Yeah, we're not. I'm gonna be out of the job that doesn't pay.
That's right.
Oh no, what will I do? Yeah. Well, it pays in meaning.
Sure.
Pays in meaning.
Yeah. So hi, Abby. So we're just discussing kind of like we had an origin story. Adar and I, we have been friends for now a few years after having seen him on the channel, and we met up early when the war started and just began ideating different ways to just somehow address the topic in a more scalable kind of way. And so right now we're working on a new company and we're building an AI that is helping to get Adar out of the job, basically. We're trying to scale up public conversation about lots of different topics, but really the focus is Israel-Palestine. And we're bringing in a lot of different people. Every day they're having these discussions, these conversations, and the AI is listening in behind the scenes and through various tactics trying to sway the conversations towards healthier and more productive places. So that's kind of like the vision. And we think we could get to, well, we'd like to ultimately get to billions of people, but even scaling it up to 1 million different conversations. And we'll show you some, if people are interested, we could show you like some wireframes, some views, some of the design of like how the product ends up kind of like looking and what the AI is actually trained to do in the process. But we have a lot of thoughts about the risks of AI. So for example, like one of the things that kind of occurred to me when I went to Israel and we began to speak while there was, well, it seems pretty clear that Israelis are living in one type of reality, right? You can call it a bubble. Palestinians are living in a very different type of reality, a very different type of bubble. Americans are living, we're all just living in very different types of bubbles. And the question is, like, what is AI likely to do given these bubbles, given these very different, like, epistemic universes, these very different, like isolated information islands. How is AI likely to impact this? And I think my suspicion is that chances are AI is going to make things much, much, much worse. I'd say maybe 80%, maybe I'll give it like an 85% chance AI is going to make everything worse. We're just going to keep being more embedded into our own matrices. We're just going to continue watching increasingly more vivid movies. And all these movies will just interface very efficiently with our own confirmation biases, right? All of the things that you do so much work to kind of intercept on the channel, I think AI is very likely to just kind of blow it all over, and just give us more things that feel good for us, even though they might not be good for us. But 85% chance, if I'm right about this, 85% chance, even 90% chance, that's not 100% chance. And in fact, a 10% or 15% chance right now, it's something that's worth investing in, because that could be a reality. There are plenty of things that are 10 or 15% chance of happening actually happen. And I think the 10 or 15%, the other part of this pie, the 10 or 15% chance, it's not just the AI won't do a lot of damage. I think AI can actually do a lot of good, in kind of like in some ways replicating or accentuating or amplifying the kind of work that you've been doing. So we can talk more about kind of like how we envision it.
And maybe just to like staying zoomed out on the big picture, the world today is more connected than ever before digitally, right? We really have more connection than ever, but we are with that facing a loneliness epidemic. So with all our digital connectivity, we are lonelier than ever before. Social media, currently how it's designed, seems to bring out the worst in people. It makes us more divisive, more aggressive, less kind. A lot of this is connected to the fact that you're behind a screen. Another part of it is connected to the fact that it's text-based and not voice and video-based. It's also, these social media platforms are not designing themselves to optimize for human connectivity and productive conversations. They're optimizing for screen time and getting people to just scroll as much as possible. Our approach to building this platform is, how do we make those using it the best version of themselves while using it, right? So we're creating and a lot of this messaging, you'll see we're very early stage. Next stream, we might be describing it differently, right? Part of getting the story down is trying different things, but we're creating smart spaces designed to bring out the best in us. Now, what is a smart space? We'll get into that. But in short, the idea is that whatever experience you're coming to the platform for, whether it's a group conversation or a one-on-one experience, the platform is designed in such a way to be conducive to productive and healthy conversations and increase true connection between people. Yeah. But if you ask Adam, he'd describe it very differently.
Somebody just asked the question.
Have you spoken about the technical side yet? No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. No, I think that's right on the mark. There's one thing that and it's interesting you bring up the loneliness epidemic, and a lot of people are trying to tackle it in different ways. I think in some ways, one way you could kind of like frame what we're doing is, we have two problems in society. We have the loneliness epidemic on one hand, and on the other hand, we have increasing polarization. And could it be the case that you use one to solve the other? You know what I mean? Like, could it be that we, by actually bringing the people that disagree or that are sort of on the verge of being polarized, or is there some tension there between? I kind of think about it in two ways. For people that have maybe like an intuition for physics, you might appreciate this. It's like when two objects are kind of like far away, like they exert even less and less kind of like force on one another, like an attractive force, right? It kind of drops off very rapidly. So if something's very close, the moon and the sun, they kind of pull them in. But as they get further away, well, the force of attraction is dropping. But other types of things are different. Let's say like a string. Like when you pull a string, it wants to kind of snap back into place.
Right.
I suspect that with polarization, it might end up being more like that string. As we drift apart, there's some curiosity. Well, what are they thinking?
Right.
What is, and we know this now from these conversations that we're having now every day. We'll tell you more about kind of like, we've been organizing all these conversations on like the proto platform and then gradually on the platform. But it's like people are really curious about what it's like to be on the other side.
Right.
And I wonder whether that will increase or whether that can be leveraged to address the loneliness. So I don't know, maybe that's...
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. It seems it would be great if we found a technological solution to the loneliness epidemic. We may discover that there's only a societal and cultural solution, but I think that there very well may be. I'm very confident that there's digital spaces that can be built to optimize for connection and productive conversations.
Yeah.
And that's what we're attempting to do.
Yeah.
Build those spaces where people can connect.
Yeah, I also think that the future of social media is likely to be impacted. So I think that social media is going to be disrupted in relatively clear ways by AI. So when we think of social media, we didn't really think of social media like in the 90s, right? Like that really is like a 2010s type of thing.
There's AOL, you've got mail.
Yeah,
that's pretty close.
That's right. It was like, but that's even that's like more social and more like utility and communication. But not right, like not the kind of media that you end up consuming instead of, let's say, like the news or television, right? What I suspect is going to happen is that social media might just split into social and into media, where most of the things that you interact with on the traditional social media platforms are not even going to be, certainly not generated by your friends. Your friends will have had nothing to do with it. Look at TikTok, for example. Most people consume things on TikTok, not because their friends had consumed it. It's just that TikTok knows your psychological profile and knows how to send the stuff directly to you. Right? Now, this is stuff that was generated by humans. Maybe it wasn't generated by your friends, but it was still generated by humans. Soon enough, it will all be generated by AI, right? So we'll just be on like a YouTube, like a YouTube that is purely generated by AI, or a Twitter that's purely generated by AI. That is now a media play. It has nothing to do with social. Perhaps there's some social component of how you interact with that media. But in that case, it is social media. In that case, has just become fully media. And what is left of social? And I think we're going to need to have new spaces to kind of make sense of social, because we have things like the loneliness epidemic. We're going to have to just continue to kind of express ourselves socially in different ways, and we'll need new spaces to do that. Right.
And to build on that, it seems like as you mentioned, the media we're consuming will become increasingly AI to the point where right now on Twitter, when you see a tweet, you don't know if that was written by someone or by AI. When you see a comment, you don't know if that was written by someone or by AI. The content we consume that is visual based, that's video and text, will be increasingly AI and increasingly hard to distinguish whether it's AI or a human. It seems like the future of connecting digitally is going to be in a form that's a little bit more resistant to AI, which is voice and video, people actually connecting, where it's a human on the other side. So it seems likely that the trend will go in this direction regardless.
Yeah. How deeply technical should we get? Do you think? I think Mathmo is interested.
I think the super technical could be based on questions. So if Mathmo has like a question he wants to ask specifically, I think maybe we focus just on the product, and then we could get to the technical.
That sounds good. Yeah. Is there something you want to share, or should we?
Yeah. Do you want to share some wireframes?
Yeah, we can share wireframes. I think the idea to sort of like keep in mind here is we're creating a platform for lots of small scale conversations, maybe 5 people, 6 people at a time. They could be bigger. We'll have different rooms. Some of these rooms could be 50,000, 60, fine. But really, like the core of the experience that we're launching are just small, intimate kind of circles of people having these discussions with the AI either suggesting topics or framing things slightly differently, or somehow being either behind the scenes moving things where you could see it, or sometimes being very visibly active in the facilitation process. So yeah, that's kind of like the overarching product vision. We can do you want to show maybe like Figma or what we currently have?
Yeah. So I wanted to run to the bathroom. So if you want to present in the meantime, you do present.
Do I do it on my
share
computer?
screen.
Okay.
So you just need to pull it up. You want Figma?
Yeah, you have it?
Yeah. Now, to build on what Adam said, this is a platform for different conversational experiences. What we're going to present is the first experience we're creating, which is a group setting. But down the line, the idea is that you come in and you could choose the type of experience you want. It could be a one-on-one chat, it could be a group chat, it could be debate format, more conversational format, a platform for different conversational experiences. Now, down the line, we could see any user can come in and create their own space with the help of AI that is meant to optimize something. So, and again, this isn't we're not even working on what I'm describing now. It's just how we envision it happening. But it could be a group of people that want to do a watch party for some sports game. And we have certain functionality that allows them to have this watch party in a way that's more engaging and interactive. So they could come in and create a space for that watch party. That's a little further down the line, but that's how we're looking at it. A platform for different conversational experiences designed to really bring out the best in us.
I sent you a link to the other Figma. It's on Slack.
Slack, cool. So you want to present.
Here's Hugo. Hello, Hugo.
Hello, Hugo. Share screen, and then
Hugo's been very helpful in helping us think about both the framing.
Is it this one or the other one?
I think it's the other one. The framing, the design, so much of the product experience. Hugo, thank you very much. Many of you, I'm sure that lots of people in the audience have been incredibly helpful. We listen attentively to everything that you guys are saying, and we try to be in close dialogue with all of you. Yeah, let's
just bring it up real quick. Now it's on screen, Adam. So you just scroll here to show. I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, so Mathmo is asking about the limitations of LLMs and how much we have researched them. That's an excellent question. We'll get to it in just a little bit. I guess maybe I could have started this. My background for the last few years has been in AI, and I run a large AI community. We do a lot of conferences and podcasts and blogs and stuff, lots of different things around machine learning and production. It's called MLOps community. And we put on a lot of conferences and events all over the world. In New York, where I am based, we put on a lot and all over the world. So if you're curious much more about LLMs and how to handle them in production, and even not LLMs, but just classical machine learning, reach out or write in the chat, and we can keep chatting about this. So we've researched the limitations of LLMs and the process of fine-tuning, and we're going to get to all of that in a little bit. So you can sort of think about kind of maybe like our landing page might look something like this. We'll share the screen. Okay. I'll just confirm that people can see it. Okay, I think people can see it. So this is kind of like the broad outlook for what the landing page will look like. So you come in and this is like the home page. Maybe you can see that some of these things we're still playing around with the design. So it might be the Israel-Palestine tag, but really now this is maybe like American politics tag. So what you see here is there's, let's say, like one main topic, and this is what a bunch of people are discussing right now. Let's say the Democratic Party has lost the working class by its focus on identity. You could choose to join the conversation. There are 14 conversations. Let's say 234 people are in those conversations. So maybe what, 20 people, 10 people, I don't know, 15, 18 people are in these conversations, but perhaps like split differently. One conversation might have more people, other conversations might have fewer people. All of these are going on at the same time, live in audio, video optional format. Here on the side, you could see all of the other chats that are happening. And again, we're going to start with a very strong focus on Israel-Palestine. Is there actually a genocide? You could join one of those conversations and see what's happening. Adar just mentioned that we're going to have let's say, like different types of conversational experiences, right? So one of them might be like a one-on-one, but we could also have something like one Zionist versus 25 anti-Zionists, right? So you could go in and perhaps you sign up to be the Zionist and then other people sign up to be the anti, and you can have these types of experiences. We're going to continue experimenting with lots of different formats. This is one of the things that we've been focused on over the last few weeks, is coming up with more and more of these experiments and seeing which one works, what kind of experience actually makes sense. Now we'll just show you one such experience. Again, don't pay attention too much to the words here. This is very much a work in progress. We believe in building in public as much as possible. So this is very rough around the edges, but we trust that you're a charitable community. So you'll bear with us here. And if you have thoughts, ideas, feedback, whatever.
The Soho community is the most charitable.
Most charitable.
Yeah.
So this could be, let's say, like the name of the space, and this is now the name of the actual topic that we're discussing. What we have here is us discussing things. So this could be like the videos of all the different people in the room. We're all discussing a particular topic, and the AI had been listening in. Mathmo, I think this is where you might have a bunch of questions. The AI is listening in, and on the basis of what people are saying, and on the basis of its own understanding of where they might be coming from and what their blind spots are, and on the basis of what they disagree, it is coming up with all sorts of activities, prompts, questions, suggestions, in order to keep the conversation moving longer. So in this case, for example, it chose to show us 2 cards, and it asks us to select the position that we most identify with. So one card, this one on the left, could be something like, Arab nations are more tolerant and diverse than Western stereotypes suggest. And people can get to click it. So they click here, and now you get to see the number of, okay. On the other side, we might have a different position, which is deep-rooted prejudices in Arab cultures contribute to ongoing tensions with Israel and the West. Okay, you can go and select that one. Now you get to see not who agrees with what, but how many different people actually agree with different positions, and to what extent they agree with those positions. So again, the AI was listening in, and on the basis of its understanding, tried to kind of refine the argument, evolve the discussion, and push it towards a healthier place. Is it pushing towards agreement? Is the goal agreement? That is not our goal. Eustace is asking if there's no link. I don't know what that means.
I think that's for a call-in show.
Oh, okay, for a call-in show. So maybe soon. So is what we're trying to do to get people to agree? I wouldn't say that that's the goal. I think that if anything, the goal is clarity, is for people to understand very clearly where people are coming from and why that's what they're saying. You had another articulation yesterday.
Yeah, the goal is that by the end of this conversational experience, we understand the issue better, we understand our view on the issue better, and the view of the opposing side better. So it's just generally speaking meant to give you a better understanding of this topic, how you perceive it and how others perceive it. That on its own has immense impact. Because often, and I just mentioned this on the AMA, but we often attribute the worst about our enemies. We think that what motivates them is their desire to harm us. But when we get to know their position, we actually see that our enemy, and I'll put that in quotations, our enemy is driven by things that are generally not malicious. And most people don't realize that. So just by having a conversation, it can drastically change how you perceive the other side for the better. We don't need to agree on everything, but we'll be much better off by understanding that those with opposing viewpoints are more like us than they are different.
And it's also not, I guess, we're also not necessarily looking for compromise or for a type of common ground. Because if, for example, this is now deployed in the case of flat Earth versus round Earth, I'm not sure that really we just need to compromise that maybe the Earth is sometimes flat and sometimes
middle ground, it's square.
Yeah, it's like we can't come up with something like that. So
right.
It's, by the way, for anybody that has ever been paying attention to AI and its limitations and its risks, all of the red flags should be open at the moment, right? The alarms should go off. this seems like perhaps an irresponsible use of technology. How do we make sure that the AI isn't biased? What is it trained on? What is it trying to do? How do we protect against all of the possible side effects? All of these questions should be top of mind for all of you guys. They're top of mind for us. And we have some answers to some of these things, and some things we're still trying to figure out. But I'm just like placing that as a path for discussion.
And if I may just expand on what people are looking at.
Go ahead.
What people are looking at. And Eustace, if you're saying no link, are you talking about the link to call in? We very well might turn this into a call in show once we're done chatting. So if we have time. So right now we're looking at one type of prompt, right? It's a prompt that gives you two options and you vote. This makes it interactive for both, right? So you could join a room. Some rooms will be smaller and everyone's expected to share and speak, but others will be bigger rooms where there'll be some set amount of speakers and then other people can just listen in. But even if you're just listening, we want it to be an interactive experience that you can engage in. So one is share, like you could vote on how you feel about it, and you could also vote to switch the next prompt. So if a certain amount of people in the room want to switch the prompt, the AI will take that into consideration. So we're really trying to gamify these conversations, that they're fun and engaging and compelling and have people coming back. So even something as simple as a prompt like this, it takes a lot of like the tension off for everybody to like present and make a point. You have a structure in which to follow. In addition to that, it can do other things like say, and this is a little bit further down the line, you're seeing iteration 1, but it could say, person A, can you please explain the position of person B? Right? That is a tool that the AI will use, which is immensely beneficial. Most often when people are arguing, they don't fully understand the position that they're arguing against. So that's something, a strategy the AI can use to foster greater understanding. It will test different ways to de-escalate, right? Let's say things get heated. Just taking a moment and having everyone take a few breaths, is that the most effective? Or maybe the AI should make a joke and be humorous. What's more effective, breath work or humor? I have no idea. The AI will figure this out over time and really perfect the art of creating these conversational experiences, maximizing the impact they have. So it's going to be a process.
Yeah. Okay. Some more good questions are coming up in the chat. We'll move on to maybe one more view. So
well, Eustace is asking something about this view.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to just keep it here on the side.
I just want to read that real quick.
And then we'll come back.
Yeah. What if the question may cause users to say, I don't agree with either of the choices? So there will be sometimes you don't want to vote, and that's fine, or you're neutral, you vote in the middle. But right now we're creating the questions manually. In the future, it will be the AI doing it, but the question should be constructed in such a way that it's not really ambiguous, that you could very clearly choose one side over the other. I think the example we gave is not a perfect example of that, because both sides can simultaneously be true. But this is really a work in progress to getting the right prompts that
we've been spending a lot of time on that. If people have ideas for the kinds of prompts that can move a conversation forward, you're both training us and we're training the AI to figure that out. And it requires, I think, a lot of the kind of intuition that for now is going to take. It's still going to take some time for the AI to figure this out on its own. That's what I'm saying. Like, right. I think the AI still has a lot to learn from us, and incidentally, we're going to have a lot to learn from it. If anybody has ideas for better framings, what we're going to do is, the moment this platform is ready for a closer kind of like community. So we're going to have right now it's open to many folks that are in our internship program, and then we already have a growing presence of a community. So these are not necessarily interns, but they're they've joined our community. People who have joined the community who so wish, when the AI chooses the next prompt, it will tap them on the shoulder and say, this is the prompt I'm about to ask. What do you think? Are there any biases here? Is it well framed? Is it well phrased? What changes would you make? So that as you're interacting with it, it is continuing to learn on the basis of like select people who we think are fairly good at coming up with prompts and who tend to kind of create the kinds of prompts that lead to constructive discussion. So yeah, if anybody's interested, there's going to be a way for you to interact with it in the middle of the product, inside the platform, and you'll be able to guide the AI along the way. We asked.
Do you want to answer?
Yeah,
Andrew's
well,
question?
the AI fact check discussion contributions in real time. Oh man, this is a whole can of worms. I think internally we are somewhat split on this. I have like one point of view on this, and other people have a different one. And it's very funny because if you join the conversation right from the beginning, so much of this started from us thinking about truth.
Yeah,
right? Like so much of it started by us thinking about truth, but then also then to piggyback off of like Mathmo's point, there's a lot of limitations to LLMs. And the question is, how do you scale fact checking? What is a fact, and how do AI and how does LLM, how do all of the existing LLM models able to figure out if something is true or not true? My take on it, and maybe we could just kind of like air out the the fault lines here, and if people have opinions about this. Okay, here you go. So Mathmo is saying a non-technical reason for like, okay, so let's just like clarify and delineate what the camps are. I'm in the camp of saying AI should not ever involve itself in the fact business, in the truth business. It can never discuss truth. In fact, it should not have a relationship to fact and to truth. The only thing it should have is the ability to modify the environment in such a way that things that are more likely to be true tend to emerge out of that discussion. But it itself has no relationship to truth. And the reason I think that is because I think that everything I think is true, sure. We're designing the AI. We could easily bias it if that was our objective. And I can't trust myself, and I certainly wouldn't trust anybody else to go and engineer into an AI a set of facts that we consider true. So I'm very skeptical, not only of the AI's ability to reason about things in like a truth-oriented sort of way, but I'm very skeptical about the kinds of organizations that are so disposed as to even create such a project. So I wouldn't trust me. I wouldn't want you guys to trust me to create an AI that is very oriented towards truth. That's my take on it. And I think the truth tends to come about intersubjectively through various like modifications to like a social system. And so, for example, like we could talk about this for a long time, but like, let's say like a respect for empirical evidence and respect for logical consistency. Those are values that are embedded as like norms in a society and in a culture that respects these things. And we should just create a culture and a society and the kind of technological infrastructure that supports these types of values, as opposed to asking the AI to give us what is true and what is false. So that's one take. Man, did I do too good a job explaining my position?
No. I think.
Okay, maybe I'll try to steelman the other camp. So this is one camp.
Yeah, let me act as the AI. Okay, Adam, thank you for sharing your perspective. Can you please share the perspective of position B on the call?
Okay, position B is like the truth-oriented camp. And let's see if I could. I'll try my best to do a good job. Okay, steelmanning them. They can say something like this: you guys are building a technology. That technology can be very powerful. You're building a platform that has a reach to a bunch of people. Unless you build the kind of guardrails, unless you're building the kinds of guardrails against the spread of misinformation and disinformation, you are risking spreading falsehoods, lies, threats, right? Like lots of like you're exposing society to a set of vulnerabilities that can be exploited by people who cynically use your platform, or perhaps just use your platform in a misguided sort of way. And you then become a tool and a vector for propagating even more evil and malice and sin in the world. That would be like I think a way to kind of, to argue back against the truth the anti-truth. So, and let's just say like a few other things, like what if that culture, Adam, that you talk about and you kind of dignify, oh yeah, we have like a kind of culture that seems to be promoting evidence, and like, what if that culture hasn't yet become deeply rooted, right, in the platform? So you don't have groups of people that are particularly skeptical and are particularly kind of like free thinking and are able to evaluate evidence and are able to question assumptions. You haven't yet created that. That is like a nirvana. That's an ideal, but you're not there. And really what you have are small group discussions that can easily lead to some type of radicalization on the basis of falsehood. So step in, build some guardrails, and protect the community along the way. And people will also appreciate it when they are shown to be speaking inaccurately or hearing falsehoods. So why not lean into things that you know are true or false, and do a better job kind of displaying those? Is that
Yeah, that would be, I think you did a good job presenting both those arguments. I think that, a platform that helps people understand what's true is essential in our day and time. But it's a slightly different solution to what we're providing. People do need to know what's true, but people also do need to have a greater understanding of opposing viewpoints and a more accurate understanding of their intentions. This has immense benefit to society. So this is more so how we're looking at things. We currently don't have a solution for truth. We do have a friend who's working on something that I can see us integrating into HeadOn if it's proven to be accurate. But right now we're not focusing on building a truth platform. It's a platform to get people with opposing view sides to better understand each other's perspective and intention, and doing so can have a truly, truly noticeable impact. So that's how we're looking at it currently.
Yeah. If people have thoughts about it, I mean, if this is new for people, these kind of like distinctions between like truth versus, I guess maybe that is like a truth versus reconciliation. I don't know. If people have some perspectives on this, definitely like noodle on this and let us know. We're open and impressionable, but it is just a priority for us to be building these things in public and to kind of just be sharing the journey alongside the community. We're benefiting a lot from hearing from you. And we hope this is also fun, entertaining, and I don't know.
Yeah. Inspiring. Now I think Adam and I are going to we'll do a live stream here once a week, just giving updates. This one was maybe a little bit longer just because it's the first one, but I think we'll be doing some weekly updates. So stay tuned. Do you have a hard stop in the few minutes?
I do. I can try to push it for a few minutes, but I think I saw there's a couple of questions here that maybe I.
Oh yeah, we could get to. I wanted to give some call to action.
Oh yeah.
So right now we're still very early stage. We're beta testing the platform. We're training the AI. We're working on product flow and functionality. We started bringing in university students as interns, as well as early adopters who just want to be the first to test and use the platform. So if anybody here is interested in getting involved, you like what we're doing, I imagine if you're viewing, you're intrigued enough, because you wouldn't be spending your time listening to plans of a platform you don't care much about. So those here, if you are interested in being one of our earliest users, I'm going to drop a link for how to do that in the chat. That link is also in the description, so you can find it there. And once you apply, you'll already get into our Discord and get to start testing the platform. What other call to actions? If you have any thoughts or ideas, feedback, let us know. We're currently actively fundraising. So if anybody here is an angel investor or might know someone that we're looking for early investors that truly believe in our mission, that not people who are just in it for the money. That's not the kind of money we want. We want people who truly believe in what we're doing. So we're looking for a few angels. So if anybody is one or knows one, please make an introduction. Any other comment actions?
No, I think that's it. If people have ideas and questions and thoughts, definitely. Is the best way for them to join the community? I guess the best way for them is to join the community. So to fill out the form.
Exactly.
Fill out the form.
Once you fill out the form, we'll already get you
on like Discord, and we'll have very direct communication with you. And so much of the negativity I see online is about people arguing about facts or their interpretations of facts. I look forward to seeing how this platform will hopefully create a unique environment. Andrea was saying, I think that's a very interesting point. I actually don't think a lot of people disagree on facts, but you're absolutely right. They disagree about how to interpret those facts. And those are stories, and these are narratives, and that is language. And I think AI is particularly adept at that. AI actually has the ability to be interpreting facts and stories, and to be interpreting narratives, and to be parsing narratives, and to be teasing out hidden assumptions about what we're saying, and to play language games like thought experiments in ways that humans find very difficult, certainly to do that. Like, I find it difficult. We're facilitating these conversations every day now, and I get absorbed into the drama of each conversation, right? I can't be a dispassionate observer about these things. And so all of that makes it much more difficult, and we think AI might help to clean up that negativity. So, Andrea, thanks for that.
Awesome. So I think we'll leave it on that. If you want to be involved, either apply in the link below or reach out to me personally to talk more. And so I guess we're going to attempt to have 2 live streams every week. One will be Adam and I giving some updates. The other will be content as usual, interviews, debates, and whatnot. So yeah, we're looking forward. We're looking forward.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.